Wow, I used the word dominant when describing Arsenal's win last weekend against Liverpool when they beat them 3-1, and I'm kind of regretting that now because if that was dominant, then I don't know what this was against West Ham as they thrashed them 6-0. I'm running out of adjectives to describe how amazing this Arsenal side were. They were simply fantastic and I have no bad word to say about them whatsoever. And although Arsenal were really good on the day, I also think that at the same time West Ham were incredibly poor on the day. They were woeful, but I think Arsenal made them look that way. And don't get it twisted, because this is meant to be a hard game for Arsenal. West Ham are no slouches. This game was at the London Stadium. They are 8th in the league going into the game. So it's going to be a tough game, especially when taking into account Arsenal's recent record against West Ham. The last time they beat them was in December of 2022. So over a year ago it's been, and since then they drew 2-2 in the London Stadium at the back end of last season. If you remember, that was in the Arsenal's title run, and during that they fell apart. They drew away to Liverpool, they drew at home to Southampton, they drew away to West Ham, and they lost away to Manchester City, and that really derailed their title charge. Since then, this season they've lost 3-1 to West Ham in the Carabao Cup. They lost 2-0 at home to West Ham in the league. And going into this game, after beating Liverpool, it's all good beating your title challenges, but against your bogey team, you could say, you really have to get 3 points and really cement yourself as, no, we are serious title contenders. And they absolutely did it. And not only did they thrash West Ham, they made an absolute statement. Beating them 6-0 was probably better than any Arsenal fan could have imagined. They were simply phenomenal. And let's start by looking at West Ham's team, and I think David Moyes went as strong as he possibly could have. I know they've got long-term injuries to Mikel Antonio and Lucas Paquetá, but apart from that, I think it was the team you probably could have expected. Maybe a couple of surprises with Ben Johnson starting out at left wing, but I think that was there to kind of stifle Bukayo Saka, who in this game had a fantastic game, and you can completely see why David Moyes tried to stifle him. Didn't quite work out. Obviously, you had no Calvin Phillips in the midfield. I think he's not quite fit enough yet. The games he has come off West Ham hasn't been 100%. So I think it was right to go with Souček and Alvarez. Of course, that didn't make a difference on the day. And of course, you got Bowen and Kudos up front who can really do some damage for Arsenal. And speaking of them, it was a slightly different Arsenal side to the one we're used to. Obviously, they have long-term injuries to Thomas Partey and Jurgen Timber. But not only that, they have injuries to Gabriel Jesus, Tomiyasu, Vieira, Zinchenko, and before they even found out Emil Smith-Rowe as well. So Kiwior came in at left back. I thought he had a fantastic game at left back. Didn't really have much to do up against Kudos. It could have been a much more challenging game for him, but it didn't transpire like that. Obviously, Havertz was returned to the side in the number 8 position rather than playing up front. And then you had the front three of Saka, Trossard and Martinelli. And I thought this was a perfectly good side. It's a side that could go out again to win. But like we all know, they not only went out there and got the 3 points, but they absolutely hammered West Ham. And the game started out, I think, how we all expected it to be. Arsenal were dominating possession of the ball, creating a lot more chances. West Ham was sitting very deep and trying to hit Arsenal on the counter-attack, like you'd expect from a David Moyes side. And it really wasn't until the 30th minute where Arsenal really started to turn up the pressure, and then eventually they got their first goal. And the first goal for Arsenal comes from a set piece, and I think David Moyes will be exceptionally disappointed in the way that his side went about defending it. If you look at the screenshot here, you can see where are the Arsenal players, right? They're all at the back post. And where are all the West Ham defenders? They're all at the front post. Now, I can understand having a man to maybe mark Martinelli, who's going for the short corner. You can maybe have a man at the front post. But then when you look about the guys, I think it's Zuma and Gareth in the middle, who are just in the space. And I can understand going into a game, you have a tactic and you have a way of defending set pieces. But when the other team are going to come into a game, they're going to obviously research how you're going to set up and trying to find any weakness that they can. And then to see 2 Arsenal players free at the back post. You got 3 or 4 Arsenal players in the middle. And just the fact that you don't recognise the danger, especially when there have been previous corners in the game, which have been quite concerning, and also, have been pretty dominant from them, and West Ham haven't looked convincing defending them. I thought it was really poor defending and really bad initiative from either the players on the pitch or from one of the manager, David Moyes, or his coaching staff to recognise that something needs to change. And I think we see this a lot. Arsenal were fantastic from set pieces against Crystal Palace earlier on in the season, only a couple of weeks ago actually, and they completely dominated them. I think it was the first game after they're back from the winter break. And I thought to myself, surely you must recognise in-game that set pieces are so important. And it was one where Arsenal didn't really have too many chances. They had the one from Leandro Trossard, who Ariola made a fantastic save. But up until now, West Ham was still hanging on in there, doing well. And then to concede from here was so poor. And as this ball goes into the back of the net, you can see here from the cross from Declan Rice, Ben White actually does a fantastic job of blocking Ariola. And I think he does it in a way that's actually incredibly clever, because the Arsenal players are at the back post. And obviously that's where the ball from Declan Rice is going to go. Ben White isn't actually blocking the back of Areola. He's blocking shoulder to shoulder to him, which to him implies then, right, I need to push Ben White off the ball, away from me, I need to come out. When really he's trying to be looking at the flight of the ball and go, right, the ball's actually going behind me. Ben White isn't blocking behind me, he's blocking to my side, but he gets distracted by White. And then he gets too involved in the tangle and I need to beat him, get out rather than getting back, and the Arsenal players then have a run on the West Ham defenders, and Saliba puts it in the back net to make it 1-0. And from there on, it is all Arsenal. West Ham heads drop, and Arsenal completely dominate the game, which was so surprising to see, because I thought West Ham would put up a bit more of a fight, but Arsenal were excellent. Saka then goes on and has 2 chances to put the game 2-0 up, but it doesn't quite transpire. He heads it just wide of the post, and another one he tried to chip it over Areola, and he doesn't quite get it. But then they do find their second goal, and then Bukayo Saka, again, he's running through and goal, beating the offside line from West Ham, and then Areola trips him, and it's a penalty. And then Saka takes a penalty, converts it, and then by doing so, puts him ghost to rest from last season where he missed the penalty at the London Stadium. And now the third goal again comes from a set piece, and you think to this point West Ham would get the point. Arsenal are really good at set pieces. I actually want to shout out Declan Rice at this point, because for a while I've been thinking to myself, why is he on set pieces? He's clearly a very tall, a very physical player, and he could be an asset in the box as an aerial threat. However, I think his delivery has been fantastic. Arsenal clearly want to have a right-footed on the left corners and from the left-hand side of the pitch to have that in-swinging corners and set pieces. I think it was fair enough, because his delivery in the last few games I've been watching him has been fantastic. And here, as you can see, for Arsenal's third goal, you got 4 Arsenal players who are all in an offside position, and West Ham are there like, okay, it's fine, it's completely calm, they're all going to run on onside. But what happens next really infuriates me, and I think it's the issue of VAR here. But as you can see, Gabriel has a free header in the 6-yard box, and then if he doesn't make it, Havertz was also there to pick it up as well. And I just think to myself that pre-VAR, defenders were trying to go for the ball, and now since the implementation of VAR, defenders are actively not trying to go for the ball and pushing their men into an offside position, which completely infuriates me, because it's like, as a defender, you should be going for the ball, you should be trying to win it, not pushing your men in an offside position and then hoping VAR picks it up as an offside, if not the linesman. And because of that, it means that Arsenal, if they beat the offside trap, then it means that they're clearly onside and they've clearly got a run and they've got a couple of yards on the defenders. And it's such an easy header for them. And it was such poor defending from West Ham. Look at where Areola is. You can maybe ask him, could he come? But I think the delivery from Declan Rice is so pinpoint, it's so accurate. It's exactly where it needs to be, in that space between the back line and the goalkeeper, where it doesn't allow the goalkeeper to comfort, because he doesn't know what to do. And maybe it's a bit more dominant goalkeeper, maybe they would have, but even then, I think it's trouble. Havertz could have got it, he didn't, Gabriel gets it, and also make it 3 in such a quick, short period of time, and they completely blow away West Ham. But don't worry, because there's still more to come. Because before halftime, they make it 4, and here Havertz wins the ball back. He passes it straight away to Martin Odegaard. And as you can see there's 3 West Ham defenders, defending the 3 Arsenal attackers. And then you got Odegaard who's just going to run into that space. And when you win the ball back, to have that time and space for Odegaard is criminal from West Ham, because he's such a good player. You know he'll find the right pass and he'll punish you, and that's exactly what he did. And he finds Leandro Trossard, he gives him the ball, and then Trossard is able to put it in the top corner. But I just want to say, right here is criminal defending from Kurt Zouma. The fact that you got Kufal right next to you, so you know he can go down on his left-hand side. He's got to cut inside and take a shot. And the fact that you allow him that much space, it's not as if Trossard is even putting it around Kurt Zouma and using him as a guide to where to put the ball. Zuma's completely out of the way. He's probably can see more of Areola than he can of Zouma. And that is such poor defending, because you've got Kufal, you've got your fullback right there, right next to you. You know if Trossard's going to score, he has to go down your left-hand side. He's got to cut inside. And I just thought, it was such poor defending. And I'm not surprised because Zouma got substituted at half-time. I don't think it was one where it was for preserving him because, West Ham know they've lost the game. It was because he was awful in this game. And defensively, the whole West Ham side were. And then 4-0 down at half-time. Absolutely blown away in the space of, 15 minutes by Arsenal. And West Ham were an absolute calamity. And then Sky Sports starts showing the photos of West Ham fans leaving the stadium, going home. And honestly, I don't blame them whatsoever. If you worked Monday to Friday and you save up all your money and you want to go to the game, it's meant to be a working class game, but football is incredibly expensive, and then you see your side put in that kind of a performance, I absolutely do not blame West Ham fans wanting to go home and wanting to do something better with their Sunday afternoon than watching what was a load of crap, because that was awful from West Ham. Absolutely don't blame them whatsoever. I mean, I think I would have been tempted to go as well. It was so bad. And the worst part is, going into halftime, you think to yourself, it can't get any worse. West Ham have to come out, they have to respond. David Moyes, give him a kick up the backside. And you think to yourself, surely, okay, maybe you can win the game, but go out in that second half and maybe try and win the second half, maybe get a goal or two, maybe make it a bit more respectable 4-1, 4-2, where it doesn't look like a complete pummeling. And apart from for the first 10 minutes, they did okay. There were signs of, okay, maybe they did a bit better. But they also got the foot on the ball and then they carried on. And it was ruthless. And that's what you need to see from an outside. They need to be absolutely ruthless, see a side on their knees and take complete advantage. And that's exactly what they did. And now in the second half, and for the fifth Arsenal goal, it's too easy for Arsenal. And look at Martin Odegaard. Again, we talked about him with the fourth goal. You cannot give him time and space on the ball. And look at that. You'd think maybe West Ham would be defending a bit more resolutely. Maybe they'd be pressing a bit more after, getting a bollocking at half-time. Doesn't happen whatsoever. It's all too lackadaisical. They just don't really care. Give Martin Odegaard that much space. He's going to find Bukayo Saka. And then I'm not even sure how, but it's too easy for Saka between Emerson Palmieri, Naya Fagade, and then Calvin Phillips, who's playing just in front of them as he come on at half-time. For Saka to be able to find this much space in the box is criminal. Again, Saka, same as like it was with Trossard, Saka can see more of the goalkeeper than he can of any West Ham defender. It is criminal defending. Fantastic play by Arsenal. But it was just so poor from West Ham. And I'm running out of words to describe how good Arsenal were and how bad West Ham were. And then to rub salt in the wounds, a sixth goal, but not only a sixth goal, a wonder goal from range by your former West Ham captain, Declan Rice. Again, I don't know how long I can keep going about the defending, but I mean, Trossard and Odegaard kind of both go for the ball. They both don't get to it, and the ball runs past both of them. And then Declan Rice is just there to pick up the ball, free as a bird. And then if you think about it, where is the closest West Ham defender? He's the wrong side of him. Is anyone closing him down? Absolutely not. They're all completely pegged in because Arsenal have been so good so long this season, this game. And from there, he just absolutely belted. What a wonderful, beautiful goal. And fair play to Arsenal. 6-0. Absolutely thumped West Ham. And from there you think to yourself, who on earth is going to be man of the match in this game? It could have been anyone in the Arsenal players. It could have been either the centre-backs for getting goals and being really resolute at the back. It could have been Bukayo Saka with his 2 goals. It could have been Declan Rice with his 1 goal, 2 assists. But for me, I think it has to be Martin Odegaard. I think he is so underrated in how great he is. I often see people do combined 11s, and Odegaard is kind of a midfielder who gets dismissed. Everyone puts in Rice, but they don't really consider Odegaard. But I think he really makes that Arsenal midfield and team tick. And I think it's one where, again, as captain, he doesn't necessarily, get all the plaudits for his captaincy as well because of the fact that he's not maybe the most outspoken, the loudest on the pitch. But I think he just knits the team completely together and he really gels them together well. And for me, in this game, I think he was first for touches, first for accurate passes, passes into the final third, chances created, and assists. It was a complete midfield performance from Martin Odegaard. And in terms of what that means for the league table, Liverpool are still top on 54 points, Manchester City second on 52, Arsenal on third with 52 as well. Obviously, Manchester City played a game more. You'd expect them to win that game against Brentford, making them top, which means that Arsenal will be 2 points behind Liverpool, 3 points behind Manchester City. But I think this was an absolute statement win as well. I think not only just to beat Liverpool last weekend 3-1 comprehensively, and then maybe this time it was a demolition. They absolutely destroyed West Ham. And I thought to myself, Arsenal, do you know what? I have to admit, I don't think I've taken them too seriously. Even after they beat Liverpool, I thought to myself that maybe they would slip up. I'm completely honest, I have to hold my hands up. But now, after that was a statement. That was an absolute statement to the rest of the league and to Liverpool and Manchester City saying, not only are we going to beat you two, but we're also going to compete against everyone else around us. And we're going to absolutely be there come the end of the season. Arsenal have also got the Champions League to look forward to. They got Porto, which is a very winnable team, home and away, coming up in February and March. I think it's very exciting time to be an Arsenal fan. And I think you can use the experience of last season, where they just fell short, to now really propel them this season with the additions of Declan Rice. And I think this is an Arsenal side that can do it. I believe they can do it. At the beginning of the season, I predicted they were going to win the league. I kind of faltered in that midway through the season. I thought, oh, come on, Arsenal. But now I genuinely think that they could go on to win the league. The Liverpool-Man City game is going to be crucial, and who wins that game? The Manchester City-Arsenal game is going to be crucial as well. And I think there's still more twists and turns. I don't think it's going to be a perfect season where all three teams are going on and win every single game now. I think they are going to drop points. Liverpool got Europa League to think about. They've got the FA Cup as well. Manchester City got the FA Cup and Champions League as well. I think Arsenal could do it. I do think they could do it. Will they do it? We'll have to wait and see. But I definitely think they could do it.